start, I know you tweeted about it a couple of days ago. You might just give us an idea into how difficult the last few days have been since Monday.
Yeah, look, you know, the obviously day of the captain's run. We it's very hard over here because you deal in 5-day cycles. So like captain's run day, which is obviously Monday into Tuesday game, obviously was a very difficult time for everybody involved. We had a number of things going on with the squad, and then obviously what happened with Greg was particularly tough. So from there, when that actually happened, we had a decision to make in relation to where we go from here. We got some support in from the South African Union, sent in a lovely lady who helped us sort of through that sort of initial few hours. And the players got together, had a discussion, and on the back of some information we had gotten from Fiona, Greg's wife, and obviously Jack himself, we decided that the game would go ahead and that we would go out and play. From that point on, really, the guys got their head down and done the best they can under those circumstances, and we just try to deal like what we do with every week is you know, be where your feet are and deal with the things that are right in front of your face. And I thought the guys done a really good job in relation to that. And you know, we got through that game and obviously went into the following day.
As a coach, how proud are you of the way the players have dealt with it?
Extremely. I was extremely proud of these guys way before that. That happened. I thought, you know, like everything that has happened to them over the course of the year, they take everything in their stride. They you know, have the ability to sort of deal with disappointment and upset and still be able to go out and put up in a performance. Definitely wasn't the performance that, you know, we would have wanted, but you know, Fiji on a dry track are a handful for any team. You know, they scored 37 points against Australia. England played them on a very wet day, and you know, it was a difficult sort of situation we were in, but I thought the guys showed great character getting through that.
Thanks, Richie, and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Hi, Richie, can you hear me? Stuart from Virgin Media.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Richie. Good to see you. Just on the game itself, you've picked your team there, 14 out of the 15 that started against Australia, started against South Africa. Is that the way? What type of game plan are you expecting to play? And I suppose you overpowered Australia. Can you do that to South Africa?
Well, there's a couple of you know, South Africa are probably a different kettle of fish. The Australian game obviously disintegrated with the weather. At the moment, the weather down here has been quite bad today. It's supposed to be bad again tomorrow, but it is supposed to pick up for the game on Sunday. I suppose, you know, the team that we've picked there, we feel that we can play a number of different ways with that team. And obviously, when it came, the weather became pretty poor against Australia, we showed that we could, you know, put the ball up our jumper a little bit and maul and play field position and squeeze them. South Africa's pack are big, they're strong. It's a very typical South African team. Plenty of speed in the back line, loads of elusive runners. But up front, you're going to have to get at least parity in order to be able to be in the game. So, you know, we've picked what we would see to be our sort of biggest front five, and our back row with the way things have gone with suspension and other things is probably the best back row we have available to us at this stage.
First time for you guys playing Athlone. They've played obviously in the last time out. Positive or negative for you, or do you not read too much into that?
Don't really read too much into it. We're going to go and pay it a visit tomorrow. You know, it's a game of rugby at the end of the day. All the rugby pitches are more or less the same dimensions. We just go, we get a feel for it and we move on. We've often said within the group it's about being adaptable and be able to play with in whatever way we can, whether it be the conditions or the venue. We are expecting quite a big crowd, a big South African crowd, and obviously there's actually quite a large number of Irish people here, which is fantastic. But they'll be very much outnumbered in the stadium, so that's going to be a challenge. But it's a challenge that these lads are kind of looking forward to. You know, playing South Africa in South Africa is a special occasion, no matter whether it's under 20s or senior level. You know, it's one of the best rugby places to go and play, and it's something that I'm sure these guys will remember for a long time.
Definitely. And lastly, for me, Jan Smith at 10 for them seems to be the real orchestrator. Pretty obvious to say, but to try and shut him down is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah. I think in general we got to put pressure on South Africa. We played them last year in the summer series with a different team, obviously, but you know, collision wise they were very dominant. Their out half that day played on the front foot and really hurt us. We put some really good rugby together that day, but we were a distant second. So I suppose, you know, trying to get a bit of pressure in through their halfbacks. They kick a lot. They don't really play at their end. They're and then they look to get their big forwards on the front foot, and then after a couple of phases, we'll look to try and play wide and deep, trying to get some mismatches out in those outside channels. So we're very aware of the challenge we face. We've trained the best we could today in relation to trying to replicate some of that stuff, and you know, the boys are excited about that challenge of playing South Africa in South Africa.
Yes, so Richie, thanks for your time and all the best in Sunday.
Well,
we'll take the last one in the online section. I think Craig, have you got your hand up there? You want to jump in?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ryan. Hi, Richie. Good to see you. Turn my camera on. It hasn't popped up. I know you said the South African side are typically physical, but they have struggled in the set piece, and they certainly struggled against Argentina in that first half, and Georgia gave them some struggles. Are you surprised that their pack has at times gone backwards during this tournament?
Well, you got to look at who they're playing. You know what I mean? Argentina and Georgia would pride themselves around their set piece as well. You know what I mean? So they've had some very difficult battles in that area. But we can see by looking at them that, you know, if one or two of the passes have stuck in those games in particularly, they will be in a really, really good place. You know, they've got some decent ball carriers in their back row, and a real line out forward in Van Gran in the second row, Van Dam, sorry. So he, you know, they have a nice mix. Yeah, they probably haven't been perfect through the tournament, but they've managed to get themselves into the semi-final, and they're going to be a handful in that regard.
Just in terms of everything that's gone on in your camp, has this been one of the toughest? I mean, not just the tragedies, but the red cards and the suspensions, and has it been one of the toughest tournaments in your time?
Yes, it definitely has. You know, but you know, I suppose coming into it, we said that, you know, we would do everything we could in order to sort of make sure that, you know, the 15 lads that went out on the field were in a really good place, and that's happened all the way through this. We've had 3 red cards. We haven't had 1 red card in any other game since I've been working with the 20s, and that's over the last 2 years. So that's been a distraction. Obviously, we've picked up a couple of injuries along the way with that. So yeah, there's been plenty of stuff thrown at us. We talked to the players about being adaptable, being able to change. We talked to them about, you know, some of the fields that we played on. Being, you know, Parle is a beautiful place and a great school, but the surface was obviously very difficult to play on. We changed that surface when we went last week to Danny Craven Stadium, and we've another change of surface this week. So we talk about being adaptable all the time. It's very much a development competition, and you know, those challenges are challenges that will stick with these guys, I suppose, throughout their rugby career.
Sorry, last one from me. Will you, tomorrow afternoon, will you be watching the Rugby Championship, the Springboks against the Wallabies? So as a team, maybe getting some of the guys getting an eye to the future?
Absolutely, yeah. The guys normally, you know, we kind of play in around Six Nations time. There's always guys watching. We were planning on putting it up on in the team room and putting it up on the big screen so that we can all have a look. So yeah, interesting game. You know, I think the Irish boys would have a big interest in looking at the rugby championship. It's a great competition.